Hey guys, Paul here. Thanks again for tuning in. This is our third of a three-part series look at the upcoming DLC for RaceRoom Racing Experience, the new GT4 category of cars that are coming to the sim. We've already tried out the KTM Expo at Brands Indy and also the Lotus Evora GT4, and now it's time to look at the third and final car that will be coming in this initial DLC pack for the title, and that's the Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport. Now, I'm aware that there's a Porsche Cayman already in the game, and as part of the November 28 update, the original Cayman will go into its own category of racing, which I will actually navigate to now to illustrate the point in which I'm trying to make. So, the current Cayman GT4 will be located, and it'll take me forever and a day to find it, so not smooth, but hey ho. Where are we? Where's it gone? There we go. Cayman GT4 Club Sport Trophy by Mante Racing. So that's going to be a one-make class. It's got a different physics set. The cars run to different rules and regulations, but the one that we're interested in and that we're talking about today is this one, the GT4 Club Sport MR. Comes with a number of let's say that again. Comes with a number of liveries, which you can see here. We're going to pick Schumacher name. Hello, that's interesting. We're going to do brands again. We're going to have 102% AI difficulty. So all the same settings that we picked for the other two test drive token drives. The idea of this video, as was with the other one, is to give you my impressions and feelings about the car from a sim racer's point of view and see how it stacks up against the other two GT4 machines coming to RaceRoom Racing Experience this November 28th. So I hope you enjoy. Right, track is loaded. We are ready to go motor racing. Let's see how we get on. As always, it seems, we start in P6. Let's see if we can score ourselves a decent result. Go! Much better start than we managed in the Expo last time out. A lot more power on demand in this here Porsche, and this is a bit of a pocket rocket compared to the other two cars. So the Cayman, although as I've mentioned several times already during our series of videos, the BOP is very strong across all three cars, so they will all produce broadly the same kind of lap time as each other. The Cayman is the one that's got slightly more horsepower, a bit faster in a straight line than either the Evora and certainly the KTM Expo GT4. But to compensate for that, it's a heavier car and it's not as good in the corners. It doesn't hold its line as well as the other cars, and to be honest, that's immediately noticeable. The second I get in it, it's wandering away from the racing line. At every opportunity I give it, it's a little bit more... Oh, bit of contact there, that surprised me. It's a little bit more alive under braking, so you've got to keep a certain amount of attention on what you're doing in the deceleration zones. And it just feels a lot more light on its feet than the exceptionally planted Expo was in the last race that we did. So really, it's quite remarkable actually how two, see what I mean, there we go, the back end's wanting to come around on me under braking in a Paddock Hill bend, and I dare say it's going to do the same again in Druids as the Expo defends, and I have to come out of that one. At least I should have myself a little accident. So yeah, the car is much more alive than the Expo. More alive also, I would say, than the Lotus Evora, although the difference between the two is much smaller, as I sort of alluded to in the first couple of videos that we made. The Evora is a spunky little beast, but it feels a little bit more predictable, shall we say, than the Cayman. Whereas the Cayman, this is of course a mid-engined Porsche, which is a rarity for that particular German brand. But the Cayman is a very nimble car. It does feel like it wants to go where you want it to go, but it just doesn't want to stay there. So that brings a lot more need for the driver to concentrate and correct and counterbalance what the car's doing with their inputs. That is the case with either the Evora or the Expo that we drove last time out. But you are making up for that more difficult driving experience by the sheer amount of lap time that is in the car. This is one that, for a driver who's experienced and confident enough to be able to put this car through its paces and to the limits, that's something that will pay you back. Excuse me. That's something that will pay you back on the racetrack, absolutely, without doubt. But it does come with the pitfalls of being just that little bit more challenging to drive than the other two cars, and of course with more challenging characteristics of the vehicle comes with it more risk, more danger, and more likelihood that you'll make a mistake and lose some of those tenths that you've gained earlier on in the race or the lap. And for that, makes it a very attractive drive, something that I enjoy a great deal, if you keep your wits about you and don't get caught out with, as I say, some of the slightly leirier and less predictable behaviour. Now, this Cayman Club Sport GT4 MR comes with a new physics set that differs. Oh, there we go. You see the car's wanting to push wide then on the apex and gets a little bit loose as I come off the throttle and try and bring it back into a sensible position. But yeah, as I was saying, this comes with a new tyre model and set of physics in comparison to the Club Sport Trophy by Mante Racing. So it does offer a very different driving experience to the other Cayman within the game. Obviously it's broadly the same car with different regs and different specs, so there are carryover similarities between the two. If you're familiar with the now titled Mante Cayman, then you will definitely know that you are driving a Porsche Cayman GT4 when you get behind the wheel of this, but it's suitably different to give you a new experience. Now, if I cast my mind back to the live stream interview we did with JF and Alex back on the 23rd of November, Alex did say that this version of the car has lighter doors, a different material for the windscreen, again aimed at lightening the car up. It has uprated parts as well in the suspension and the brakes and whatnot, and it does pack a little bit more of a punch than the aforementioned previous Porsche Cayman Club Sport that's available in the game. And that one, the changes with this car make it feel like it's just a little bit lighter on its toes, and it's just sort of sitting up and pegging a little bit for a more aggressive drive. It feels like it's moving around just a little bit more than the other car does, but because it's lighter and there's less, or it feels lighter anyway, and there's less weight transfer going on, it feels like potentially this one may even be a little bit more stiffly sprung than the other car. It's got a racier feel to it, which is very nice, which is the kind of behaviour I like in a GT or a touring car, or frankly in a race car of any kind. And it's very rewarding when you get it right. As we can see there, I'd never had a moment. I know I clouted his back end as well. I clouted the curbs a little bit, which unsettled the car coming into the corner. But I never had a moment like that in the KTM Expo that we used in our last video. Which just goes to show exactly how much more movement and spice that this Cayman has than the Expo that we're chasing down now. Now I must admit, if I gave it absolutely everything that I'd got, I probably could pass this KTM quite easily, streak away into the distance. But I'm not going to, because that will make for a boring video watching me lapping up front. So we're going to try and keep behind him a little bit, just to have a little bit of on-screen entertainment. Now, moving on to the DLC itself, Alex and JF didn't have the pricing structure available to quote at the time of the stream. So at this moment in time, I'm not quite sure how much that's going to retail for. But what they did suggest was owners of the existing Porsche Cayman in the game will be in receipt of a tasty discount on this car. So fear not, those of you who are maybe thinking, hey, I've already paid for a car that's broadly very similar, so why should I have to pay full whack again? That doesn't appear as though it's going to be the case. There will be a discount for you guys and girls, no doubt, that already own the Cayman Club Sport by Ponte Racing, as it's now called. So that's good. That's good to hear. And the same thing applies as well with the new for the next patch P45 that's been moved into the GTR2 category and given a new tyre model and set of physics as well. So owners of the original P45 will get themselves a discount, quite a heavy discount as well, on that car, despite the fact that the GTR2 P45 has got a brand new physics set, runs to brand new category of racing. So apart from the 3D model, it is actually in effect an entirely new car. So that's cool. Thank you, Sector 3. That's a nice thing to hear. Now, we've strayed into the territory of other things here, and this is a video of GT4 cars, not other things that come or are coming in the November 28th patch. So what do I think of the Porsche? What are my impressions? Where does it rank in comparison to the other GT4 cars, in my humble and semi-qualified opinion? Well, pace-wise, I know they've got BOP and I know they are expected to all run at a very similar performance level, but for me, I think the Cayman is the fastest car. If I was to enter a race on a track that I felt comfortable in and I wanted the best result, I would go for the Cayman pretty much every time. If you've watched our previous video on the KTM Expo GT4, race the same track, same difficulty settings against the same grid of cars, you'd have seen me struggling to maintain position and eventually fight up to the podium places. But it was quite a lot of work. I was doing a lot of defending and repassing and under pressure from the cars behind. But on this track, in the Cayman Club Sport MR, I'm keeping with this guy really quite easily. And frankly, if I pass him, I expect I will be able to pull a bit of a gap out on him as well, which will stop any hopes and expectations that he can repass me again. So I do think, pace-wise, this is the faster of the three cars. I also think, from a driving point of view, this is the most engaging and attention-grabbing handling of the three as well, because of the earlier mentioned slightly Larry's the wrong word, but more involving characteristics of how the car drives, which is a good thing for those of us that want to be entertained and arms flailing and opposite lock and all that good stuff, but maybe not the ideal combination for anybody looking to engage in any kind of lengthy endurance-esque race. Now, I've not spent enough time in the cars to see how they compare from a tyre wear and a fuel usage point of view. I suspect, and this is purely guesswork, that the Cayman will be slightly tougher on its tyres just because it's a more challenging drive than the others. As I overshoot slightly there. Getting too excited. Oh no! It's up to P3. Bit of work to do now, Paul, to get yourself back in contention for that win. So yeah, I suspect it probably uses its tyres a little bit more than the other cars, but that is guesswork. I have not put that to the test. But it is good fun. It's a great car. Sounds nice, as everything sounds in RaceRoom. It sounds absolutely awesome. Feels nice, it handles nice, looks the business as well. Saying all that, I would rate it below my favourite, the Evora. Because again, the Evora still, it has the best of both worlds for me. It feels quick, it gives you something to do behind the wheel, but it's a bit better behaved than this Cayman, and it's a bit more raceable and a bit more confidence inspiring. So it has the best of what the Cayman has to offer, which is an exciting driving experience, but it also takes the best of what the KTM has to offer in terms of some good stability, some good roll holding and some good raceability. But again, that's all down to personal preference, and you may, should you purchase this DLC after it comes out on the 28th, you may wholeheartedly disagree with my assessment and rank them in an entirely different order. And that's the beauty of opinions. We, much like bottom holes, we all have one. And you just go for what you enjoy, really. But one thing I can say absolutely unequivocally and without any doubts whatsoever, all three cars are epic. All three cars are really damn fine sim racing cars, and for me at least, probably some of the best cars available in RaceRoom racing experience today. And that bodes well for the future of the sim. GT4 is a category of racing I would like to see better represented in racing sims, and JF has suggested that potentially there is another GT4 car already licensed for the title, and depending on how popular this one proves to be, and by popular I don't just mean sales, I mean the amount of usage that the car gets in the game, this may well be a category that is expanded on further in future, much like they've done with the GT3 class. I mean, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head now how many cars GT3 has got in it, but it's a lot. and it's growing all the time, and the new models that have come out and are coming out for the 2019 series, RaceRoom are actively pursuing to bring to the title. And I hope, from a personal point of view, that is a mentality that's maintained for GT4. So as I've said several times during this 3-part video series, I think GT4 has got all the potential of being a classic online racing combination. They're a little bit more forgiving than the GT3 cars. I think Alex actually said, in terms of lap time, they're at a very similar pace as the TCR cars that came out, the FIA WTCR by Scaro series that came out. There you go, you see, you go one-handed into Paddock Bend, and that's what happens to you. And that blows away. That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, where the cars are faster. Well, certainly Ron Branson's Indy, in my hands anyway, is faster than the other two, but it can catch you out in a split second and throw away all that advantage that you had gained through on-track performance. So that's something to bear in mind for any aspiring league racer or just online racer out there. Can you be sure that you're going to keep your concentration long enough to be able to take advantage of any benefits you may gain by picking this car over some of the others in the category? We'll go too wide now up in the Druids. I've got better brakes than the KTM against the AI anyway, so that one's ours. Into Graham Hill Bend, get a bit of curb. 2 wheels on the tarmac, so not to be outside of boundaries, and the race lead is ours once again. But I can feel already the car starting to go off slightly compared to the others that we've driven previously in this Talk and Drive. It's already starting to feel a little bit loose compared to what it felt like at the start of the race. But there we go, checkered flag, last lap. Race victory is ours. Yippee-ki-yay. All good fun. So yeah, I think the upshot is, the end result is, I personally really like the GT4 category in RaceRoom. I think they've done an excellent job in every respect. Sound, physics, model, BOP, car choices even. All very, very positive. The liveries look lovely. I think you'll enjoy this when it comes out to the public build November 28th. It's a very rewarding, very enjoyable pack of cars, and it's definitely gone very quickly up there to be one of my personal favourites within the RaceRoom roster. So as always guys, really appreciate you tuning in. If you'd like to give us a like, a subscribe or a follow on our Twitch channel and our YouTube channel, or also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and join us at racedepartment.com, that would be awesome. This has been part 3 of a 3-part series looking at the upcoming GT4 DLC for RaceRoom Racing Experience. I've been Paul Jeffrey, this has been RDTV. Sim racing is awesome, so are you guys. Till next time, I'll catch you later, and bye bye.